For conservation, for wildlife conservation and for ecotourism, this pandemic has been an absolute killer. But there have been some really great things that have come out, especially like you say on social media, where I work quite closely with a conservationist in Borneo who works with sun bears, and he now does kind of weekly speeches and tours and actually takes people around. He's managed, I don't know how he's managed to do it with the technology, but he's managed to be able to live stream from the rainforest of Borneo and actually do some really interesting and informative talks about the ecosystem, about sun bears, about the threats to sun bears. So people have had to be more ingenuitive, if you like, with technology and storytelling. And also, like I said earlier, there's this part of, not everyone will be able to visit those amazing rainforests in Borneo because physically they can't or financially they can't. So there has been this kind of new development of taking people to these places physically, and even in virtual reality now with headsets and things like that, and doing kind of 3D filming. I think we're only at the cusp of taking people to these places virtually, which is really exciting, and hopefully it inspires more people to travel and travel responsibly. And it's sort of that try before you buy type experience where you can see and look around you and feel what it's like to be in a rainforest in Borneo, and see and hear all the sounds of the rainforest before you actually go. And that hopefully that will be the kind of clincher to get people to travel more responsibly and to try ecotourism if they haven't.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, and I know that pre-COVID you were running a project to encourage holidaymakers to visit wildlife hotspots during their vacations. So what was the importance of this? Why did you want to push this and say to people, if you're going on holiday, visit a wildlife hotspot, it's going to do X, Y, and Z?
Yeah, so it was an interesting journey how I came to that specific project. So I guess one of the things that I had always felt quite passionately about as an environmentalist is that with campaigning and working in sustainability, you're often saying to people, don't do this, do less of this, which can feel sometimes a bit preachy, and also it feels sometimes like you're trying to tell people to live their life in a less exciting way, if you like, than maybe they felt like they were previously, because we all know that what we do has an impact on the planet. And if you're always telling people to do less of something or stop doing something, it doesn't necessarily have a very positive impact. So what I loved about ecotourism was the fact that people naturally feel very excited and passionate about travel anyway. People love their annual vacations. They love going on holiday, spend a huge wad of their annual salary on that travel. So naturally we feel positive about travel, and it's just kind of skewing how we travel in a slightly different way, which then has a really positive impact on the planet. So rather than telling someone not to do something, you're saying go ahead, do it, but do it in a slightly different way. Rather than going on a cruise ship, which might be really unenvironmentally friendly, kind of mass tourism with loads of food waste, lots of contaminants going in the water, probably very poor humanitarian policies in place for the workers on that ship or whatever, or even these kind of big consumptive all-inclusive resorts and hotels. It's just go to that destination, go and travel, go and see the things that you've always wanted to see. Definitely don't not travel, but do it in a different way where you know that actually it's having a positive impact. So make sure that you check that local people are being employed, that the money that you're spending as a tourist is actually going back and having a positive impact on the local community. Make sure that you make an effort to research and kind of become acclimatized to the culture of the place that you're going to, so you don't offend people or do something inappropriate in a place that you're visiting. But also from the wildlife perspective, I guess the biggest thing is that the money that you spend as a tourist helps to protect those species for the future. So you go to this country and you spend money and you are paying to go and see a gorilla in the wild, for example, or you're going to go on safari and see the big five. those local people in that area are getting money, or hopefully if it's done responsibly, they'll be receiving money from your trip and your travel. Therefore, they realise, hang on a minute, these species are really important to keep alive, because people are coming to spend a lot of money to see them because they don't have them in their own country. They want to come and see our forests, they want to come and see our coral reefs, and actually, rather than kind of feeding our families or making money from ways that are damaging to the environment, actually protecting those species is better in the long term for our community. So they then become real guardians of those species and protect them. And I think that's why ecotourism is so powerful, and why I was so excited to start that campaign. I picked kind of 12 places, and I did 12 destinations in the 12 months of the year to show people, obviously, species are better sighted at different times of the year. So hopefully gave people a kind of overview of where the best time of year to see different species is, and actually how to do it for a similar budget to that you would spend on maybe going to a kind of all-inclusive hotel somewhere, and in a similar time frame, so a kind of 1 to 2 week time period, because yes, it would be lovely to take people, traveling through South America for months on end, but we know that, well, pre-COVID, maybe slightly different post-COVID, but people were very restricted to their holidays and would only have a certain budget in a certain time. So that was the kind of idea of the project. And it started off mainly writing articles for kind of travel press and travel publications, and then kind of picked up a bit of pace. So we started making some films. And then from there it's kind of escalated to speeches, and like I said, taking people out to some of these places, obviously again pre-COVID. So it was a great project, and I would love to get back to it as soon as we're able. My mum would find me as a kid just lying on my stomach watching ants, and I would have like pockets of slugs, and my mum absolutely hated it, but I've just always had that real fascination with